Okay, so I have gotten some parts for the trailer. I got the metal for the ramps here. And this is 2-inch angle and it's a 1/4 inch thick. It's a little bit overkill. I probably could have used 3/16 and been fine, but I kind of went all out. So that'll be good and strong. And I picked up a trailer box for it too, for the tongue. And then I got this new chop saw. So I'm kind of curious to try it out too. So basically the plan for the ramps is they're going to be 6 foot long and like 16 inches wide. So I guess we'll get to cutting. Okay, I figure I better put on some safety glasses. So, this might be loud. That's nice. It's cold to the touch, too. Part of me drawing all these lines out, getting all of them lined up and getting this all good and square. So now I'm gonna fire up the welder and get these guys tacked on here and then try and get the rest of them. But I do believe it's about to rain on us. just like a 16th off there. It'll be good enough for who it's for. That one's spot on. So the top and bottom one are spot on. This corner is just like a 16th in. That'll be just fine. So and the ramp's upside down right now, for those of you wondering. Because I was gonna put these pointed ends up, but I figure if I put them like this, where when it's upright it's gonna look like this. So I figure that would give you more surface area when you're driving something up on it. I don't know, maybe. That one's a smidge tight. Save it for last. So here's kind of what the ramps look like. That'll be a pretty stout ramp. So I have planned on putting another one at the bottom here. I don't know if I'm gonna put it the same as this or kind of turn it upright and just have it across there. I haven't decided on that yet. Or I thought about leaving it like that and then just cutting kind of a diagonal so it sits down lower to the ground. It looks a little steep right now, but the way the hill's going down and the trailer's tweaked with the back end up, so it's... Plus this will be... I got a solid piece of round stock that I can put all the way across here. I think it's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. I mean, it's some heavy stuff. And it's not going to cost me anything, but I just got to wait till the guy's back in town so I can get it. So, but at least I can get these guys built and ready. So that'll be a big plus. And then I'm going to have one more of these guys across the top here. But I kind of need that bar just so I can figure how I want it. But I might just put it, leave it a couple inches in. I could probably just leave it like that. So, but anyways, that's tacked together. So I guess I'll go ahead and build the other one, get it tagged together, and then weld these puppies up. But I kind of like how that is, because I thought about having, I mentioned it before, having the points of these up, but I kind of like, you get more surface area when you do it this way. So I kind of like that. There we go. So got these guys welded up. It's a pretty stout ramp. So most of these welds turned out pretty decent, if you can see them in there. So yeah, one thing I do want to do is then weld right in through here on all of them, but I'm running low on welding rods today, so I'm just trying to get these, just get the angle part all welded up. Now I'm working on a set of ramp supports, because these are going to be fold down ramps, and whenever you're loading something, it puts a tremendous amount of strain on the back of the trailer and the truck and everything. So basically I'm going to have a bar come down from there that'll be just a couple inches off the ground, so as the trailer squats, it stops it and it takes all the weight instead of straining everything else. So it'll kind of look like this, and then I just had these here for mock-up. Then I'll have one of these running across to connect the two, and then another one I'll run like so to brace it. So that's what I'm gonna get to doing. So here is how the ramps turned out. So now you can see that leg I was talking about there. So that'll be pretty good. And then once I have that mounted, that'll actually be just, you know, an inch or two off the ground. So then as it loads, it'll squat down and that'll handle all the weight. But so now I'm just kind of waiting on my buddy so I can get that piece of solid round stock to make my hinges for it. And it should be pretty good. So I really like the way those turned out. I think I forgot to mention I did finish up this hitch. And then up here I had to weld that plate because this bar up here is super thin, so. Okay, so these ramps are all finished welding up, so those are good to go. And then I have spent about an hour just wire brushing down the frame here. So it's not perfect, but it's good enough to shoot some primer on this guy. I'd really love to wait until I get the bar to attach the folding ramps and then do it all at once, but that's going to be another week. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing primed, and then I can go ahead and paint it, and then where I have to weld the bar on in the back, I'll just grind that a little bit off and touch it up. That's not a big deal, because then if I get it primed and painted, then I can go ahead and get all the wires run, do all that, and get the boards for the deck and all that. So anyways, I'm going to get ready to move this thing over here where we painted the cab on the dump truck and mix up some primer, and hopefully I have enough. Okay, so for prep work, what I did is I hit all this with a wire brush. I think I already said that. And now I'm just going to blow it off with some compressed air, and we'll be ready to shoot some paint on it. Be good enough for who it's for. Okay. Let's see if we can't mix a little bit of paint here. Primer. Of course, we get a helicopter flying over. This is red Oxford primer, if you're wondering. Probably the best that's going to get mixed. Then you mix this stuff 8 to 1. The 1 is the reducer. And give this guy a little stir. This painting stuff ain't too bad once you have the stuff to do it. Man, my first time I had to go buy all this. It's quite the expense. Got a mask this time. Now I look like everybody in the grocery store. Bunch of stupid. Okay, so we got this guy all primed. And I didn't have quite enough primer, so I got all the outside and the important areas around the wheels where that's going to be constantly done. In the center webs of these I-beams I didn't prime because I didn't have the primer for it. I could, tell you guys I'm going to get primer and do that, but I'm just going to throw paint over it and call it good. But other than that, the outside's primed. Half of the ramps are primed. The back's primed, but some of that's going to get ground off and welded. But tomorrow we'll come back out, shoot some paint on her. Color, I'm going to go with the same color that I did my dump truck. Got some paint left over, so should have enough for that. The tongue box, I primed it because it had a bare spot. I guess it got bent right here during shipment or whatever, so cleaned that up, shot some primer on it, so might as well paint it to match. So I guess we will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so we're back today, and this primer, it's nice and dry, so I do believe we're ready for some paint. So I'm sure some of you guys are going to yell at me where I didn't prime a lot of the inside of them cross members, but it'll be a good test. You'll see whether the paint lasts longer with the primer or without. But I did prime, important areas where it's going to get blasted with water and salt and everything you can visually see. So let's go mix up some paint and start painting. So if you're wondering about paint, we're using Massey Ferguson gray. I got this left over from where I did the dump truck, so I was going to just paint this black, but I figure everybody has a black trailer, so, and I have this left over, so it worked out pretty good. Okay, let's get to mixing. Okay, this guy up to 4. And I'm going to do 4 capfuls. Now let's... Here's how far the first batch got me. So it got all the hard to get sections. I went ahead and painted the axles on there too. Said might as well. So I just got to finish up these 3 center cross members and then we'll get the outside. So let's get to it. Okay, so here's how it turned out, all painted. Oh, I like that pretty good. So I'll let it sit for a day or two, and then we will come out and start putting on some lights and get everything wired and ready to go. And then all we like is to add in the piece for the ramps to fold down, so won't be no big deal. Yeah, didn't turn out too bad. Today we're going to see if we can't get get all this, everything wired and put together, so that's all ready. And then the only thing we have left is the deck and then that little hinge for the ramps. So to do that, I've got everything laid out here. Parts I've been collecting for a while. So we got the harness here, we got the junction box, the breakaway, lights, wires, and what's really good for wiring trailers is an old extension cord. So I had this one. This one had a bad spot in it somewhere, so it's just been used for whenever you need to wire something. But anyways, so that should work pretty good. I just hope the bad spot's not in the section that I have down the trailer. Anyways, I had a heck of a time getting that thing untangled. But you know, an extension cord is the safest thing to keep on an airplane. Because if you go to crash, just jump out and hold on to it, and it'll tangle on something. So I pretty much saved all the self-tappers from the original camper frame for mounting all this stuff up. So I went ahead, before I painted this, I got all these bolts lined up so where I just basically have to bolt everything on now. So here is the junction box. I guess that's what you would call it. And I'm putting it right here. It's behind this main beam, so it won't get constantly blasted with water and salt, whatever else. So that's a plus. So this will be where my main harness comes in here. Get it to the... Okay, so white is supposed to be my ground coming from the truck. So I just need a piece of wire that'll run through here to right here. So about that long. And I need another one to do the same thing, except it needs to go to right here. So, yeah, right about there should be pretty good. So, a minute. So it's better if you can solder all these, but I just always crimp them and then put shrink tube over them, and I've never had an issue. So, but now all my splices I use the low temperature solder in the heat shrink. It works pretty good. So, come through there and hook right there. So you might be wondering why I put 2 grounds on here. And that was, I just wanted an extra one because if, say, this one wire breaks, everything on the trailer is going to stop working. So I figured having 2 of them, and this is a lot thicker wire than you need. I don't see what gauge it is. This is 10 gauge wire. So it's more than enough. So now it's time to run my brake light and running light wires, which is nice because the extension cord has 3 wires in it, so you get your left and your right brake and turn, and then you get one for your running light. So then before I painted this, I also drilled all these holes so I could run all these wires. So I'm gonna run it where it needs to be, then cut it. To kind of stay like that. And cut that here. I allowed myself plenty of extra slack in the back too, so. And the trick for skinning this with multiple wires, you want to just barely cut it, but not cut into the wires themselves. Okay, now what do I want to make what? So looking at the front of the tongue here, here's where I'm going to put my breakaway box, because it's a perfect spot for it. I'm put it here, and then the tongue box is going to cover all this up. But if I ever need to service this, I can literally take out 6 bolts, set the box out of the way, and get to it. So kind of keep that in mind when you're building something. Think about, you know, oh hey, what am I going to have to do when I have to work on this in a couple of years? So there's not really a whole lot to this guy. basically I just need to plug in the battery and then hook up the wires. And then got the battery in here, hit the test light, it lights up charge, so that's good. And basically from here, the white wire out of this guy, it's got a diagram here. White wire goes to ground, and the blue wire goes to your breakaway switch. And then the black wire comes from your truck auxiliary power, charging power, whatever you want to call it. So that is how that goes. Okay, so it was getting pretty boring watching me run wires, so I saved you the trouble of watching me just run wires all day. But we have all the wires run. All the marker lights are in. Down the side, we got everything for the back wired, except my backup light right here. I have to run one more wire and just hook that up, but I'll do that here in just a minute. But now I figured we would make sure all these running lights are working. I tried the brake lights earlier, basically as soon as I got the wires to them to see, and I just looked online and got a universal 7-pin trailer wiring diagram, but the colors in this were all different, so the multimeter doesn't lie, so I just tested all them. No big deal. Let's flip on our running lights. See, we got that. All those seem to be working. Down the side here. Looks like all the back ones are working. And these guys on this side are working. Awesome, so the running lights are working. Got the brakes wired in. I have each axle on a separate wire. So you can see a lot of wires hanging down and stuff. I'm just testing to make sure everything works before I tidy all this up. And for my splices, I use these heat shrink with the solder in them. These guys. Now these guys are the best for doing stuff that needs to be waterproof. So, like this. You can see each of these I have individually grounded every light. Some people say it's overkill, but at least then if a light's not working, it's super easy to troubleshoot. You can see if your ground's corroded. If it is, then you clean it off and it works. Or it's not getting power from somewhere, so that's why I do that. And there I got the 4-ways on. So I believe we're pretty good. I'm gonna run one more wire, hook up that backup light, check it, and then it's just gonna be tidying everything up. I'm gonna be wrapping all these wires in this, it's like a cloth loom. It feels like cloth, but it's sticky on one side. It's, I guess it's for making wiring harness, so get all that coated, but I'm liking it. I pretty much spent the whole day on this, so one of them things I did not want to cheap out on or not do it right. I wanted everything to a T, and then that junction box is nice because say I didn't have that and I just soldered the wires to the main plug and then found out the colors were wrong, then I would have had to cut and redo all that. So luckily this, I just had to pull a pin and move it. So that's good. Okay, so got the truck in reverse. I just ran the wire. So let's see if we got light back here. And we do. Sweet. And if you've ever backed up a trailer at night, you know why I put that on there. One minor thing I have to do is I put a little light right here, going to be above my license plate. It's supposed to be lit up. Most trailers don't have that, and if they do, it usually don't work, but I'll at least put it on there. So here is all the wiring coming up that plugs into the truck. Here's where I put my safety breakaway switch. Put it on the inside of this instead of the outside, trying to keep everything as less likely to get smashed as possible. So then this wiring goes in. I got a nice grommet right here, so that's good. And here's the box. I already talked about that. And the way to tell if you have it wired right, when you start the truck up, this charging light comes on. So that's all good. So I can go ahead and set my front tongue box on here. So let's do that. Here's this round stock I finally got. So that's awesome. It is 1.5 inches thick, just solid round stock. So I hope it's not hardened steel. We're going to try and cut it on my chop saw. So we'll see how it does. So I need 2 pieces cut 40 inches. This is like a 12-foot stick, so I have plenty extra anyways. So I'm going to get to it. Alright, it's set up right where it needs to be. I'm going to fire up the generator and see if it'll cut through this. Cut through that like butter. Nice. So I got my ramp hinges fabricated. So after thinking about, because I was going to put something to go on this in the center here and come out, but then it would have to be elevated, so this pipe would be at this level. So the ramps will be actually just a smidge higher than the board when it's on here, is what I wanted. So I just took 2 pieces of angle, welded it right to the top, and then welded the round stock right to it. So that turned out pretty good. So, and then I just painted where I welded it, so I need to wire brush all that rust off that before I paint it. Of course, I don't even know if I should paint it, because with the ramps being slid back and forth for different size stuff, that it's just going to chew the paint right off. So I don't know there, but we're in the home stretch of this guy now. So I believe I got them pretty straight. I folded one up so you could. One more thing I'm going to have to make is a piece of metal that runs to the side here that I can latch the ramps standing straight up, but that won't be a whole lot of work there. So anyways, that's what I got done today, so we'll get some more stuff on it in a day or two. So here's where we're at today. Yesterday Dad helped me get all this lumber sawed, so that was nice. These are some nice white oak boards. They're all pretty much 2x8s. I think there's one 2x6 in here somewhere. Right there. I think I'm gonna put it in the middle. But it turned out pretty good. I just have them laid up here. So today I'm gonna get all these cut to the right length and get them notched around these bars because I want them all even up here. Let's get that all cut to length and cut to length for the dovetail. So once you get all that cut to length, then before I screw them down, I'm just gonna let everything sit for a week or two. Probably just a week, and let it dry because this is super green. Like, we literally cut the trees down yesterday and sawed the lumber, so this is pretty much as green as it gets. So let it air dry for about a week, but I'll get everything cut good, so then, you know, it can air dry for a week. I want to coat both sides of it with some used motor oil and then screw it down. So that's what I'm into today. So let's get at it. So all these boards, they got cut to the right length, and they're all just laying here. So I didn't record doing the dovetail because it was actually really quick and simple. So I just got the ramp sitting here. Like I said, the only parts left of welding is I got to put a little bracket right here and a piece of metal to hold these straight up in the air. So I'll get to that one day this week. And then I also want to weld some braces on where I have this angle coming out to hold these. I also just want to run something down to hit this I-beam just to kind of, because these won't have a whole lot of weight on them because these feet on the ramps are going to take all the weight. So there's not going to be that much weight on this anyways. So I don't think I have any issues, but I am going to put a brace there because I'd rather have it than have to do it later. So, but I'm liking how it's turning out. I also have to notch out these boards for where this angle sticks up. Just cut a little slot in it. No big deal. So, yeah, I'm liking it. So I've got a little gap here where the board's got a little bow in it or something, but That's all right. Because once, where this stuff's real green, it'll shrink down a little bit. So I'll let it sit, you know, a week or probably about a week. And then we'll come out here, put some coating on it, get them all screwed down, and we'll be ready to get this thing inspected. So okay, so I guess I'm at the point, for sake of getting this video up, to call this done. I still have a few more things to do. I just, the other day, threw the reflective tape on it. So, a couple things left on the list is for this ramp bracket. I went ahead and put, this is like for a tractor, 3-point. Went ahead and put that there, and then I'm just going to take a piece of flat metal, and I got a bolt with a shoulder on it. I'm going to weld right here and run that up so that stands straight. So I would show you guys that, but I mean, it's going to be pretty boring. So, I'm going to do that today, and then I'm just going to paint the wheels, like little cosmetic stuff. And these boards are not yet screwed down because I want them to dry for, I'm probably going to leave them another week. You might be wondering, like, why not screw them down and then just coat them with stuff after it's screwed down? Well, I want to coat the top and the bottom of them to make them last as long as possible. So that's where we're at. But anyways, this will be the pretty much finished product, other than the few odd little things I need to do. So here's something I'm sure everybody wants to know, is how much did I have to spend on this guy? So basically, here is the list of it. And come down here, because I don't need to read you each individual amount. But I had $617 in pretty much all the parts that I had to buy, from the lights to the jack to the box. You know, all that stuff adds up. And then I went ahead and threw $70 miscellaneous on here. So brings us to $687.30, which is pretty much on the money. You could go ahead and round it up to $700 for say. But then like I said, the camper was free, and the lumber here didn't cost me anything because Dad has a sawmill. So those two things being free, if you're looking to build one and say you don't have those two things, then budget these a little bit higher. But roughly $700 for this. So if you go store buy one of these, I would say that they're around the $3,000 mark. So that's not too bad. Plus, it's also made better than store-bought, so that's nice. And here's this little trailer that I made last year. Actually, I have a video on this, and I get a bunch of comments of people telling me that this wheel, or that each wheel is hitting this frame. They're like, oh, it only has 2 finger widths of space right here. Well, I don't know if you can see it on camera or not. Maybe. But this frame right here is on the outside of this tire. So this tire has another, once it squats down to where it looks like it's hitting this, it's got another 2 inches it can go up in here. And I've never had it hit anything. So it's like, I've overloaded this trailer and it's never touched anything up here. So go ahead and answer that. Now this trailer, for reference, cost me, I think it was like $300. So it was an old boat trailer that I turned into this handy utility trailer, which it's nice. It's good for small things. So yeah. And then the deck over is nice, because a really nice feature about the deck over is that, say a bunch of us want to go riding and we all got four-wheelers and side-by-sides, is you can load them babies up sideways all the way back and get a bunch of them on here, as opposed to if you have to pull them on long ways, you only get a couple of them. Anyways, I guess we'll catch you guys in the next one.